What's going on? Jake here with Uncommon EDC, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Wurkkos TD07. This is a tactical style light with a maximum output of 1300 lumens, and you can see it has some of those tactical features as well, including the tactical ring and that crenulated bezel. This one's available on Amazon for $45.99. At the time I'm filming this though, they have one of those 20% off coupons you don't need a code for. Just make sure to check mark the box before adding it to your cart. And Wurkkos actually provided me with an additional hidden coupon code that will stack with any of the Amazon promotions. You just have to do it during checkout when you're selecting your payment method. You add it into the gift card or promotional section, and I'll leave that code down in the description. Gets you an extra 10% off on top of whatever discount's currently running, and right now that'll bring the price down to about $32 and some change. So very affordable for the amount of output you're getting from this light. Again, 1300 max lumens, and this is more of a spotlight than a floodlight, so you get a beam distance of 479 meters in that turbo mode. It also features one of my favorite user interfaces of any of the flashlight interfaces that I've tested out. We've seen this on some other lights as well in the past, but it has this rotating dial to select the different modes. You have a tactical mode, lockout mode, and a daily mode, and it makes it really simple and intuitive to get into your various modes. So we'll be going over that in a minute here. Body is a 6061 aluminum, available in a couple of different colors. This is obviously the black. I think they have an OD green version as well. It's about 3.9 inches long and then 1.18 inches in diameter. The sizing is surprisingly small. A lot of tactical lights are just oversized and larger, and it's one of those things that they can kind of take advantage of, being that it's a tactical light. But I do like the sizing of this one, where it's just right to really fill my fist, but you can see there's just enough of that crenulated bezel exposed at the bottom of my hand if you do need to use that for striking of any sort. And so just the right size, I think. I really like the somewhat smaller footprint that we're getting out of it. It's also relatively lightweight at 2.82 ounces with that battery installed. This is running off a 18350 lithium ion battery, and that is USB-C rechargeable. You can see I've placed my tactical ring right over the dust cover, and so you have to move it out of the way in order to charge it. Obviously you don't have to do that. I just liked that placement the best, and so that's where I end up keeping it. But it does have that dust cover to give it that IP68 waterproof and dust resistance, and that aluminum body gives it a 1 meter impact resistance. Again, 18350 lithium ion battery is powering our SFT-25R emitter. Again, more of a spotlight than a floodlight, but you get a lot of output out of this one. And so let's get into the various modes. We'll talk about that ring a little bit in a bit here as well. It does have this nice kind of rubberized padding on there, but let's run through the different modes first, because there's a lot of them. We do have an indicator over here that indicates your battery level. Basically, green is top third, red is the middle third, and then the bottom third is going to be flashing red. And so for these modes, we have a half press and a full press on our tail switch. Just the tail switch, which makes sense for a tactical light, just kind of natural position of your thumb. And so each of these indicates a different mode. So this first one is our tactical mode, and you can see if we roll that arrow over here, we're in lockout mode, and then over here is our daily mode. So we'll start in our tactical mode first, because if you're using this as a tactical flashlight, that's the one that may make the most sense. So there's two different modes in tactical. One is a half click or half press, and that's our turbo mode, immediately into that 1300 lumens, and that again has that beam distance of 479 meters, runtime of 2 minutes or so before it steps down to the high mode of 700 lumens, and that'll go for another 45 minutes. You notice as soon as I let go of that though, it immediately goes off. So there is another way to get our turbo in a permanent on state until you click it off, but in the tactical mode, it's always going to be that temporary on. As soon as you release it, it goes off. We also have our strobe mode with the same output here, and so if you are strobe sensitive, obviously skip ahead 20-30 seconds. This is a full press. And same thing, as soon as I let go of it, it immediately goes off. And so there's no way in this tactical mode that this is gonna accidentally turn on in your pocket or in your bag and stay on. Obviously, it's possible for something to accidentally press on that and it goes on momentarily, but as soon as it lets go, it's gonna go back off, which should protect the battery from just draining because it's not constantly on. It also should protect it from getting too hot. This does have a heat sensor, but it can still get very hot in that hot mode, or in the high or turbo modes, it will still get hot, but it does have some temperature control in there to automatically turn it off or lower these settings when it is starting to get too hot. Now, after that, those are the only 2 modes in our tactical mode. So if you're using this as a tactical flashlight, that's probably the one that it makes the most sense. There's also your lockout mode. Now, unlike a lot of lights, we've seen this in some other lights with the same user interface, but unlike a lot of lights, you can actually still turn your light on in its lockout mode. But this is only going to be the moonlight mode, so 2 lumens, 75-hour runtime on here. And the cool thing about that is it also doesn't have a permanent on state in the lockout mode. So there's no way to turn this on in your pocket or bag and accidentally leave it on, draining your battery. Even though it has that 75-hour runtime, you still can't really drain it in the lockout mode, but you still have access to that low lumen mode when you need it in a pinch without having to unlock your flashlight. And so some flashlights, it can be kind of annoying to get in and out of the lockout mode, quadruple click or hold for 3 seconds or different types of things like that. And so this one, you still have access to your light, and when you want to get out of it, it's very quick to quickly rotate that dial to get into the mode that you want. And so I really like that for our moonlight mode. But let's move over to our daily mode here. So the daily mode has a couple of different controls. There's the main cycle, which is the half press and let go, and that's going to turn it on in memory mode. So wherever we left it, this is going to be the low mode, which is 20 lumens, nice runtime of 22 hours. I think this is a great alternative to the moonlight mode, and I'm glad it starts here rather than in moonlight. You can still get into moonlight mode in your daily segment, but it defaults to your low mode or whatever you left it on in memory. Clicking that with that half click again will cycle us to the next mode, which is medium. 240 lumens, 3-hour runtime. We're getting 200 meter beam distance on this. And so really nice versatile mode for me. Nice combination of high output with a decent runtime. For me, medium is like if you're using this indoors, most of the time medium is going to be all you need. And then once you start getting outdoors, you want to light up a little bit more area. You want to reach out a little bit further and you're not in that enclosed space. I think the high mode is where it steps in. And so our high mode is 700 lumens. We're getting a 50-minute runtime, ultra bright, definitely throwing off some heat here already, and a 350 meter beam distance on this one. Now, if we click it again, it drops back down into our low mode. We have access to our low and turbo here though, so let's go ahead and turn it off and see how we get there. So if we hold this for about a second, less than 2 seconds or so, it will go into our moonlight mode again. Again, this is 2 lumen, 75-hour runtime. The reason I'm glad it's not in the main cycle is it's really not that big a difference to our low mode, which we can cycle to here, and you'll see the difference. So it's not that huge of a step up to our 20 lumens. We're still getting 22 hours of runtime, which is plenty. I'm usually going to be charging these daily after use. And so if it's, 22 hours, that's more than enough. And so I'm very, very happy with that low mode. And then again, if we cycle through, it goes back into our low mode, not into our moonlight mode. And so anytime we're cycling through, just that half press cycles us to the next mode, and then the full press will turn us off. Now we can also double half press for our turbo, so we do have access to a permanent on state in our turbo. And that's 1300 lumens. Once again, it'll step down after 2 minutes to 700 lumens for another 45 minutes of runtime. And again, you can see I've let go of the switch at this point. So unlike the tactical mode over here, where as soon as you let go, that drops off, this one will keep it in the permanent on state. So that's gonna be all of our different modes. I find it to be incredibly intuitive. I think just handing someone the flashlight and them experimenting with this dial here, they can access all of those modes relatively easy, from the strobe to the moonlight to the turbo, and then of course our low, medium, and high in the main daily mode are very easy to access. You obviously have to remember the button presses for the moonlight mode and the turbo when you're in daily mode, but since you have access to them on other points on the dial, I don't find that to be a deal breaker, especially, again, handing this to someone who's not super familiar with the flashlight. Now, the other thing about this one is it doesn't have a traditional pocket clip. It has our tactical ring, and I find it to be very, very comfortable. It's kind of got this rubber grip that's nice and grippy, plenty of real estate for my finger here. It will still function as a pocket clip, but yours is going to have this kind of bulging out if you're utilizing that pocket clip, but it will still function in that regard. I don't know that they sell a different pocket clip. It definitely doesn't ship with another pocket clip with more your traditional style, but I really like this tactical ring. I am kind of curious what it would look like if that were integrated into our rotating dial up here. I wonder if it might make it a little bit easier to select those modes. It's actually relatively easy to select the modes right now. You just kind of twist there, but again, if your index finger were in there and you're able able to just kind of drag and manipulate it with that. I wonder if it would be easier, if that might get in the way, but I do like the tactical ring that it comes with. One other thing about the tactical ring though is that I like the placement right here because it makes the dial placement more natural. And so when I place it right there, it is covering up that dust cover, so I do need to rotate it every single time I want to charge this light, which for me isn't a deal breaker because I like the positioning. You can also just obviously keep it in a different positioning. You can still manipulate that. I just like the placement of it when it's kind of in line with our dust cover. And so great looking flashlight as well. I think I already went over the battery indicator, but pretty standard stuff there. It's green for the first third, red for the second third, and then flashing red in the bottom third. When it's charging, I think it's like 95 to 97%, it's red, and then anything above that, it goes to green. So when you're just about at your 100% mark, it turns green. Overall, really, really cool flashlight. I love the size, form factor. I really like that it's a spotlight as well. It's not super floody. One thing that you might notice, I don't know if it's actually really been noticeable in this video, is that sometimes when we get really close, we'll have this kind of purple ring around it. I don't know if that's showing up on camera. It's not noticeable the further out you get. Even at this point, you know, 8 inches away from the target here, you're not getting that purple ring. But when you get up super close, you notice it on the table there. And so hopefully that's picking up. But again, it's really not noticeable at any usable distance whatsoever. So really not counting that against it either. But let me know what you think of this light down in the comments below. Super excited to check this one out. I want to get more lights with these tactical rings. I really enjoy the tactical ring. I do like it on my index finger as well, which is one of the reasons I was kind of prompted about that curiosity of what that would look like if it were integrated into our rotating dial here. But it's very comfortable in the middle finger positioning as well. But again, would love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking, commenting, subscribing, checking out some of my other content. It does help out the channel a ton, and I hope you have a great one. Take care.